You're listening to For the Republic, a love letter to Star Wars animation.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to our Maul Shadow Lord recaps here on For the Republic, a love letter to Star Wars animation. Today, I, Andrew of the For the Republic podcast, am here by myself again. Second time in the last 3 weeks that unfortunately neither Connor nor Donovan were able to join me today, which is unfortunate because these episodes were incredible. We are going to be talking about Chapter 5, Inquisition, and Chapter 6, Night of the Hunted here on For the Republic today. Real quickly, just a bit of housekeeping. I've been very good on purpose with keeping consistent with Forging the Path in our first couple weeks of releasing the series. If you're unaware, we recently launched a new series on our podcast feed and YouTube channel titled Forging the Path. It is our Star Wars ranked series, where each episode I pick a Star Wars related topic and curate a list. I themed it around forging, a Jedi youngling forging his own lightsaber, or his or her or their own lightsaber, and then building it off with the number one entry being the color of the blade, just to give it a little Star Wars little theme to it. I've done 3 episodes so far. I've been good with the every other week aspect of the series, but this week, because of all the scheduling conflicts with Maul, I was unable to get an episode ready, so I'm hoping to have that out early in the week next week. If not that, then next weekend. Again, sorry for the scheduling slip. It's just all these scheduling conflicts we've had with Maul. It's like if I had an episode ready, both would have to come out on Sunday, or I'd have to release Maul on Monday, and I don't want to get the Maul recaps out after new episodes of the show are already out. So we're going to be talking Maul this week, and we will hopefully be back on schedule with Forging the Path next week or the week after. I'll have to see how the week unfolds. But these episodes were crazy. Let's just jump right into it. We've been wondering, the first 4 episodes of the series, how are they going to deal with the Empire showing up on Janix? They slowly built to it in such a perfect way, that conflict between Lawson and Two Boots. So for the Empire to finally show up at the end of the 4th episode, it was like a holy crap kind of moment. And here we are, that was answered immediately in Chapter 5. We immediately start, the Empire shows up, and we get introduced to another shitty Imperial, something that Star Wars animation is so great at doing, and it's so easy for them to get under your skin, whether it be the lieutenant from the Bad Batch Season 2, whose name I am forgetting because he is, oh my god, what an unlikable character in that Crosshair episode, The Outpost, which is, in my opinion, still the best episode of that entire series. Lieutenant Nolan is the name of that guy. It was driving me up a wall. But the lieutenant, and then as he takes him on at the end of the episode, top 5 Star Wars animated moment for me. So we get introduced to another shitty Imperial, Lieutenant Blake, and I just love the look of this character. He's designed just to piss you off. He's got that like 5 o'clock shadow. He's got this smug look to him, like every Imperial does. I just like that even so relatively early into the Empire's tenure, we have these just god-awful, garbage human beings that were just waiting their whole lives for fascism to take over so they can jump on that fascism train and just oppress people because they have nothing better to do with their life. They take pride in being just the shittiest human beings known to mankind and taking that out so they can use this so-called power they have to oppress the lesser beings. And in this case, it's the Janix police force. They immediately come in here and take over the whole operation. They interrogate all these police officers, including Lawson and Chief Kleiss. Two Boots is like, oh, look at all this extra added security we have. And it's like, Two Boots, buddy, you're grating on me, man. Like, I tried to like you. You were really likable at the beginning of the show. I tried to like you as episode 3 and 4 happened, but oh my God, you're driving me up a wall here in this episode, buddy. And there seems to be a light at the end of the tunnel at the end of episode 6, but you're taking a while to get there, buddy. See the light, the Empire. I get it's your protocol, but it is not to be cheered for. This is not a good thing. You are never going back to the way things used to be. And it's clear immediately that this is the case because Chief Kleiss is interrogated, and when Lieutenant Blake reemerges after that interrogation to speak to Lawson, he asks, what happened to Lieutenant Kleiss? And he goes, oh, she's been reassigned permanently, a.k.a. they killed her, discarded her, gone. And obviously they know of Maul's presence on Janix. They are furious that the Janix police force did not report this to the Empire immediately. And they're basically saying, hey, anyone that had any knowledge of this, it's treason and you will be dealt with. Because that's what the Empire does. They disguise themselves as a security blanket of peace and order. And this is what the galaxy needs, is just, getting the law and order back to society, getting rid of those, the bad hombres. Does this sound familiar to you at all? But what they're really doing is they're taking total control, because when they arrive here, they're not just there to clean things up and then give this little police force their authority back. No, they're staying forever. And it's very much clear in these episodes that this is an entirely new Janix. It's under an entirely new reign, an entirely new occupation, because it's being occupied by the Empire. And we see this impact our main characters. Lawson, definitely our Force-sensitive characters, and even Maul. We've been wondering, how is this show going to play out where this villainous dark side character takes on the Empire? Well, we see that. We've seen that in this episode with Maul and Devon. They now have a common enemy in the Inquisitors, and it'll be very interesting to see how this continues to unfold, how the dark side is fought with the dark side, what kind of impact does it have on our characters psychologically, emotionally, physically, and how does Devon's emotions and her feelings and her moral core get impacted by this? That I cannot wait to see unfold throughout the rest of the series. My favorite part of this first episode, though, was Lawson's story, because it is so tied to the new presence of the Empire. And we see this when he is getting interrogated, and immediately this turns into a Star Wars horror story. Because we see he goes into the interrogation room, he looks on the table, he sees the claw markings, the scratches, and he immediately knows, yeah, my chief is dead. They killed her. It's what I assumed happened. We as the audience know this, but to get that dawning realization that, hey, this isn't a permanent reassignment. Yeah, she's definitely dead. I'm like 99% certain that Chief Kleiss is out of there. Unfortunate RIP, a real one. And we saw this shot in the trailer of Marrok emerging from the darkness of that room and just putting his hands on Lawson's shoulders. And it was a terrifying scene in those trailers, because we were like, okay, where the hell did that come from? Why is Marrok stalking Lawson? What is going on here? Is Lawson going to make it out of this scene? And just round of applause to these episodes for really redeeming the character of Marrok in my eyes and making him a slasher villain. He is terrifying in these episodes as the constant, never-ending threat, always following our heroes, always following our main characters, always on their trail. And it's immediately started with this interrogation scene of knowing that, hey, the people doing the interrogating, it's not some shitty Imperial like Lieutenant Blake, some low-level guy who's going to give these threats and maybe pawn some stormtroopers off on you. But, this guy's not going to do anything to you. He sucks. We're going to bring in the Inquisitors. They're going to get that information out of you because they want to find these these Force sensitives, these Jedi, and take them out. And Maul to them is an enemy because not only is he a Force sensitive, he's a threat. He's a former Sith. He's a former apprentice of Palpatine. And obviously, those who run in the Empire, Vader, Sidious, they want him gone. They want him eliminated. And to know that he is a threat on this planet to their ultimate goals, yeah, they want him out of there. And they want anyone that withheld this information gone out of there whatsoever. So this interrogation is such a wonderfully crafted scene because it's threatening. It's intense. It's scary. Like, again, I was on the edge of my seat the entirety of these episodes. And episode 6, I said, is one of the best Jedi on the run stories we've ever seen in Star Wars. And we've had a lot of those recently. There has been no shortage of Order 66 survivor stories in Star Wars within the last 10 years. That, found parents stories, those are like Star Wars' bread and butter these last several years. But man, it is done so well in these episodes because it is intense, it's threatening, there's stakes because the characters we follow are new characters. We don't know their fates. So at any moment, they could die. It's just so... It's done. It's handled so well. And I really love the reception that this show has been getting. Because at its best moments, it reminds me of like a perfect mixture of Andor and the Bad Batch and the Clone Wars. Like the best of Star Wars storytelling that we've had on the small screen put together. Capped off with this just strikingly gorgeous animation style has made this such a rewarding watch the last 3 weeks. And I am so glad that we are going to be continuing this. And it proves, again, I say this every episode, say it with me, folks, animated Star Wars is the best Star Wars. And it's the best Star Wars for a reason, because they can tell stories like this. They can go from these, these deep character moments, these fun action set pieces, but they can also be a horror story, a slasher story when they want to. You can do anything in this genre. You can get weird with the Force. You can get deep and personal with these characters. You can have fun action set pieces, fun Saturday morning cartoon-like episodes. You can do it all. And the projects they've had have made that very clear over the years, and that's why I started this podcast. That's why we like to share these stories and the personal connections they have with us, because the animated Star Wars, I just think, has such a vision to it and such a great storytelling prowess, where Lucasfilm Animation, I have just given the benefit of the doubt whenever they announce a new animated project. Like, okay, yep, no, I'm going to trust them because I have full confidence that they're going to make something great. And this show has been no exception. The early feedback that we got, like, oh, this is some of the best animated Star Wars or Star Wars TV period we've ever had. And I'm like, those are tall words to say. Those are that's a deep compliment, because I know what great animation is for Star Wars TV. I've seen it, throughout the last 10, 15 years of how great these stories can be when given the chance, when given time to grow and develop. And this show right off the bat has been excellent. Every single week, it gets better and better. I'm just in awe of how good these episodes were. But to get back to Marrok and Lawson, Marrok starts interrogating him. Lawson, puts on a brave face. Like, oh, my crew was just walking into this. We didn't know who Maul was, what he was doing. We walked right into a trap. And he's able to get out of there. But we definitely see Two Boots be shitty as hell during this, because Riley, the Empire, has shown up. He's looking for his dad. He sees the Empire show up. The TK troopers go on the streets. Where's your identification? The classic Empire stuff. I personally had to deal with that at Galaxy's Edge 2 years ago when I went for the first time. We're in Olga's cantina. My girlfriend and I, we're drinking our blue milk. We're having a good time. Two freaking First Order stormtroopers come into the bar. They go to let me see your identification. And I just found that so fun that the immersiveness of that. And that didn't happen last time we went last year, but it was just fun. And that was just like a really fun moment for my first time at Galaxy's Edge of like, this is Star Wars. Like, I'm in Star Wars. This is awesome. But we get shitty stormtroopers on the streets. Riley's looking for him. He goes to the police station, finds Two Boots, and he's like, oh, Captain Lawson is being interrogated right now. He should be released soon. And the shitty Lieutenant Blake comes in and he's like, get out of here. You don't have clearance here. And Two Boots kind of shoos him away. But, Riley's probably thinking what we're all thinking. Like, there's no guarantee that Lawson's going to get out of there alive. Especially because we know what happened to Chief Kleiss. Marrok could go in there and he could slice him up. And again, I am just so continuously stunned that they made Marrok that no other way of saying it, nothing character from Ahsoka. Just a nothing villain of the week kind of character. Doesn't say anything. Explodes into a giant green cloud of dust at the end of his death as we see it. Of course, we're theorizing that he was resurrected by the Night Sisters, and I think we're going to see that happen here in Maul Shadow Lord. But to have just a mute, nothing, faceless character in Ahsoka show up here, but now he's talking. Now he's threatening. Now he's this never-ending presence of danger, this never-ending threat of danger put on screen by the Inquisitors, and I think probably their most threatening appearance we've had so far. And we've seen them a lot, ever since they were introduced in Rebels. We've seen them a lot. We saw them in Rebels. We saw them in Kenobi. We saw them in Tales of the Empire, the Jedi Fallen Order games. We've seen them in different aspects of the storytelling over the years. But something about these two episodes, man. Again, I said it feels like the best on the run from the Empire story we've had in a very long time. And so much of that has to do with how threatening they make Marrok in these episodes. They make him terrifying. They made this character go from nothing character from Ahsoka to this is the scariest motherfucker we've seen since Darth Vader in Rogue One. This is like, oh my God, our characters are going to die. And it leads to the freaking coolest train fight at the end of episode 6. But again, we'll get to it. Lawson's eventually released, and it leads to the merging of our two plots at the beginning of episode 6 and of episode 5. So we have Lawson's story in this first episode. We also have Maul's story. Maul is basically told by Rookcast, look, we need to get the hell out of here. I know what's going to happen here. You know what's going to happen here. But Maul's like, no, we have to stay on Janix. We have a plan. We are sticking to it. We need Devon. And I think that we're starting to see a rift grow between Maul's Shadow Collective faction. You have those Mandalorians that Rookcast, I should say, reprimands in this. I think it was this episode. It might have been episode 6, but I think it was in this episode where they're like, we didn't sign up for this Empire crap. We just want to get paid. And he Rookcast basically just tells them, get back to work, get back to your positions. So you can tell that there's some animosity growing that, hey, look, we signed up to be this criminal enterprise. We didn't sign up for any of this Imperial bullshit. So we can see the cracks forming there. And Rookcast, I think, is going to eventually have some type of conflict with Maul. I don't know if it's going to be major, but I can clearly tell that she's not too thrilled that her boss and the person that she's sacrificed everything for, went against her principles, turned against her people, and sided with Maul over Mandalore. And now she's like, all right, this is just a Jedi kid. The Empire's here. We need to get out of here or we could die. Realize that. And Maul is just so dead set on, no, we need Devon. I think that's going to lead to some tantalizing stuff. On the other end, you have Master Daki and Devon. And they're just, honestly, they're scared of what's going to happen here. Because the Empire's there. They've been caught. They know that any kind of freedom and anonymity they have from the galaxy here on Janix is no more. And there's that great line at the beginning of episode 5 when Chief Kleiss and Lawson are talking as the Empire shows up. And it's like, oh, it could be worse. You could be harboring Jedi. And just the look on Lawson's face, because he knows now that those two, that kindly old man and his so-called niece are actually Jedi. And he lets them escape. And we see him be one of the few, like I said last episode, one of the few authority figures in this Imperial era that isn't out to get the Jedi. It's refreshing to see someone who isn't necessarily, on the side of the rebellion or on the side of the light. Like, we know he's got good intentions and he's one of the good ones, but he's still like, a leader around Janix. He's the captain of the police force. And to see that freshness of, no, I'm going to help you, or at least I'm going to look the other way and let you go. I just think that's very refreshing, especially in this time period where Order 66 is still so fresh. The galaxy is still so brainwashed into thinking that, the Jedi were traitors. They tried to overthrow the Senate. They tried to assassinate, the Chancellor. And it led to Palpatine being able to turn the people against the Jedi, label them traitors, and usher in his new empire. So it's so refreshing to see the difference there in storytelling with Lawson's actions. But Master Daki is very much, we need to get out of the city, we'll go into the forest, and we'll get off-world somehow. But every single time they try to get out, they notice more and more stormtroopers. More and more people getting targeted on the streets by these stormtroopers, being, rallied up and taken. And it's just, it's done so well, the growing threat of knowing, they're not going to be able to get out of there. They're able to get to a train station, but everywhere they go, more stormtroopers. They're not able to escape. They get there, keep getting cut off, are able to get out of there in just a really fun scene that leads in hints at what we see in the next episode of they're in a train station, they're being cornered. It's like, oh, let me see some identification. Master Daki is that, oh, you've already seen our identification. You'll let us off free. And he does that, and then another stormtrooper comes in and it's like, why didn't you take their identification? It's like, oh, shit, Jedi. And they're able to escape through the train station. And it was just a really, really fun scene there. Two more things I want to touch on in this episode before I move into episode 6. The first is, again, how threatening Marrok is, where after his interrogation with Lawson, we actually see him go to the site of that big firefight from last episode. And he starts investigating the crime scene. He looks and he sees the markings, and he sees, these are lightsaber markings. So Maul is here, and those are other lightsabers. It's like, so there's Jedi here too. And we see him start to put the pieces of the puzzle together, which leads into the chase, the slasher villain that we see him in episode 6. And then also with Riley, we had that bombshell last batch of episodes that Lawson's ex-wife is an Imperial. And Connor and I were theorizing what it could be. Unfortunately, Connor's crack theory of his ex-wife being Governor Price from Rebels didn't end up being true. We do get to meet his wife for the first time. She speaks to her son in a hologram and basically tells him, cooperate with the Empire. This is what you need to do. This is best. They're just here to protect you. They're just here to protect Janix. They have to be here for a reason. Just cooperate and you'll be okay. Typical, Empire bullshit. And I'm curious of what her position actually is, because something tells me she's not the most high up, but she's definitely someone that probably fell for, the Propo and drank the Kool-Aid and got themselves a low-level position so they think they can do something. And it definitely led to some kind of rift between her and Lawson. That's probably why they ended up splitting. Also, maybe because of Lawson's friend at the casino. Definitely something there to that, judging by Riley's reaction last episode, in the next episode. But to get the introduction of, okay, we're actually putting a face to the name. We're getting to see this character for the first time. Whether or not we see her join the chaos on Janix, I'm not entirely sure. But I do love what we keep building to with Lawson's family. I think it's very intriguing. And they really did a great job at making Riley his own character in these episodes, which I really appreciate. He's more than just, Lawson's friend, son that plays shockball, and he's sad because his dad keeps leaving his matches and he doesn't spend enough time with them. Now we get to see the depths of their father-son relationship in these episodes, which I thought was handled very well. And then it leads to the end of the episode, which I think is just such a perfect setup and lead into the next episode, which is Lawson finally comes home. He hears his son's voice, goes in the living room, and who's sitting there with him? Master Daki and Devon, who have come to the only person they can trust for help. And he's just like, you gotta be kidding me. This is exactly what Chief Lice was talking about. Now I'm harboring Jedi. I just lied to this Inquisitor. What is going on here? And, such a great lead into the next episode, which is where it gets just incredible. Night of the Hunted. What an episode. Let's talk about it. Oh my God. The best way I can describe how this episode played out was it just felt next level compared to everything we've gotten in this show so far, which is saying something considering I've been gushing about how great this show has been for the last 20 minutes. But everything from the tone to the music to the animation, the camera angles, the movement, the fighting, the action, all felt incredible. The character moments, everything felt tense, fast-paced, fear-inducing, panic-inducing. Again, why I said this is one of the best on the run from the Empire stories we've ever had in Star Wars. And we start off immediately. Lawson's like, you got to get the hell out of here. You're not safe here. You're going to make me public enemy number one against the Empire, which is reflected later on in the episode when Two Boots is, I'm sure Captain Lawson will be back any day. I'm sure he'll love all this new added extra security and extra help we've had around here. And then immediately his wanted poster flashes on all the holograms there. And then Two Boots is reprimanded for his boots. Those are out of dress code. Take those off. And it's like Two Boots without his boots. That's when he starts seeing things. So boots, those are that's the tipping point for you. Like fascism, fine. Chief getting killed, permanently reassigned, fine. Your captain being wanted as an enemy of the state, fine. Your partner, I should say, too. Boots, maybe this Empire is not so good after all. Okay, as long as you can see the light again, buddy, I'm okay with it. Because, again, you're pissing me off here. Go back to being fun. I like having fun droid characters. And the conflict is nice because we do get to see the difference between morality and programming and how the two can mesh together. But it's like going from K2 and Cassian, where, of course, K2 was reprogrammed from being an Imperial droid to being Cassian's ally, and how deep that bond is, like we see in Rogue One, to now seeing Two Boots, who is someone who is just, his programming keeps getting in his way, and that individuality that we've seen with a lot of droid characters in Star Wars just can't fully make it out of there because he is still so dead set on, this is what I need to do, this is my programming, this is right, this is, back in the days of the Republic, this is what we needed to do. So obviously the Empire, it's bigger, there's more security, it's got to mean it's the same, right? And we all know, no, not the case there, buddy. So I'm glad he's slowly starting to see the light, and I hope he helps out his buddy, Captain Lawson, sooner rather than later. But Daki kind of explains everything to Lawson, like, look, we are survivors of the Jedi Purge. The Empire tried to wipe us all out. We've been on the run. We need your help. We need to get out of here. So Lawson and Daki are kind of talking. They're having, the adult conversation while Riley brings Devon into his room, and we get the most awkward teenage boy has girl in room that, if you were a teenager and you're like, oh my God, there's a girl. Why is she in my room? And like having like an awkward, like, oh, did you not have sports where you grew up? And it's like, no, I definitely grew up different from you. And Riley at this point has no clue that Devon's a Jedi. And she's just sitting on his bed, and Riley's just like sitting there awkwardly of like, oh my God. Like, I felt that here. Relatable. It was hilarious. But then what I loved is, because you'd think the way that these things normally build up, like, okay, we know the threat of Marrok. We know he's coming. We know the Inquisitors are there. What I loved is, like, almost immediately Lawson's like, oh, they mentioned something about, I think they called him an Inquisitor. And Master Daki's like, no, we got to go. And he gets Devon like, we got to go. Immediately, we see a red lightsaber ignite and start cutting down Lawson's door. And then, boom, Marrok is there. And from this moment onward, the episode becomes one large chase scene. And it is so good, guys. We immediately see Daki and Devon start dueling with Marrok. Riley's like, what the hell? They're Jedi. As him and Lawson try to get out of there. They start dueling everywhere. Lawson's apartment gets set on fire in the chaos. They make their way up to the roof. Gunships start coming. They start firing on them. Lawson is shooting down. Like, Riley's like, oh my God, you're shooting against the Empire. And it's just nonstop chaos. Every time they think they escape Marrok, he comes back. And there were several moments in this episode where I thought Master Daki was done for. I was just terrified. Thought it was going to happen in episode 4. Definitely thought it was going to happen here, because I thought, look, I don't think it's going to be Maul that takes out Daki. I think it's going to be an Inquisitor. I think Devon, seeing her master get cut down by another dark side figure, is going to leave her emotions vulnerable. Her feelings of revenge can surface up, and Maul can take advantage of that and see, this is why you need to adapt. This is why the Jedi mindset can't help you fight in these dark times. You need to fight like me. You need to see the galaxy the way I do. We need to get revenge on the people that took your master from you. Boom, there you go, hook, line, and sinker. I think that would be a lot more compelling. And I thought it was going to happen in this episode, because they keep running. And of course, he's old, he's injured, he can't keep up. And he's separated from the group at the end of the episode. But man, there were several close moments where I thought, okay, this is going to be the moment he's gone. But they keep escaping. They're able to get them all onto the gunship that Devon hijacks and uses to take out some Imperials. Again, several great shots of Marrok. Every time they escape, just whether it's him on the roof or him on the train later, it's so great. They eventually are able to get to the casino that what's her name? Sewell? Is that her name? The pink skin, purple hair. Rena Sewell. Yep, that's her name. And we definitely get to see some more backstory to her and Lawson's dynamic. That, oh, she saved my life. She wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for me. I wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for her. And Riley definitely knows something more. I definitely feel like there was something there that led to his marriage going down the tubes a little bit, and definitely doesn't seem too keen on trusting her. While this is going on, we see Spybot throughout the city, seeing that Devon is still in the city, and of course Maul's like, nope, this is the plan. Now is my moment. I'm going to have my big hero moment. Hero in quotations, because we know he's not a hero, but he's going to do what he can to intervene and save Devon from Marrok, since they're still in the city. So the plan can still happen. We also see Vario during this episode where he's freed from Maul, and we think that no, he's just going to run away, but no, he chooses to stay. So even though he's at odds with Maul, and he's like, oh, what the hell? Like, this isn't what I signed up for. I did my part of the deal, and he frees him, and it's like, oh, well, you're alive, aren't you? And Farah's like, I kind of like it down here. I'm going to stay. So at least he's still a part of Maul's crew for now. He probably is like, Maul seems better than these stormtroopers. I'm going to take my chances and stay with the guy that looks like the literal incarnation of the devil. It's Star Wars. What can you say? So this leads, we're in the casino, and Lawson and Sewell are talking. She's able to get, or at least start to plan out some kind of off-world travel that can get Lawson and crew off the planet. As this is happening, boom, Empire immediately comes in. There was this very snitchy-looking alien in the lobby at the beginning when they first arrive in that casino that definitely ratted them out to the Empire. So she is the Freck of this episode. So big F you to that. And again, this leads to, the continuous chase scene, never ending. Every 2 minutes of calmness we have, immediately Empire comes back in. We're on the run again. This is what made this episode so great, is every time you think you have a down period, boom, they're back. They're never going away. Just like the Empire on Janix. Like Lawson said, when the Empire comes, they are never going to leave. That is exemplified here in this episode. They're never going to stop chasing you. Once you are a target of the Empire, it's over. You are on the run forever. You get off world, they'll still somehow probably find you. It's never ever ending for these characters. And we definitely see the dread and the threat, and like I said, the anxiety of this episode gripping my chair at moments because of what we had story-wise. But we also do see that Sewell is at least somewhat trustworthy. At least we think we are. Maybe Lawson was right on the money there, because we see her start fighting the stormtroopers, buying some time for Lawson and crew. So hopefully she doesn't end up being a turncoat and turning them into the Empire, and she is fully on their side. I sure hope so. I think it would be nice to have more non-snitch characters here on Janix, and see that more people are against this occupation, and they're going to bring the fight to the Empire. Even early on in the reign of the Empire, where the Andor times haven't started yet, we're not seeing the growing resistance and rebellion against the Empire just yet. So to see those seeds forming early on of like, hey, look, we don't want you here. Get out. We're going to fight. I think that would be really cool to see a mini uprising here on Janix down the line. Obviously not right away, but like assuming season 2 is also going to stay mostly on Janix, I think it would be nice to keep building to that throughout the next season or 2 of this series and have them bring the fight to the Empire. This eventually leads to what it's all been building to throughout this episode. This awesome train fight. So again, 2 things I love: lightsaber duels, train fights, merged together. And it is, again, the animation, the coloring, the lighting is perfect in these scenes. We see a split off. Lawson and Daki are split off from Riley and Devon. Devon is protecting Riley. Here comes Marrok on the train. The 2 of them get into a duel. It is sick to see. And then eventually there's a line of like, where is Maul? And we see, I'm right here, from the top, ignites the saber, jumps down, and then the 2 of them start fighting. And again, it is all this talk from Daki of, Maul might have the same goal, but he can never be our ally. And to see Maul show up and say, hey, I can be an ally. I can help you out here. The 2 of us, if we team up, we can beat this Inquisitor. As he says to her, you've seen the face of your real enemy. What are you going to do? And I think it's leading to something very tantalizing, very exciting. And this duel was sick. Like last episodes, we thought, okay, how are we going to top this Devon duel? How are we going to top the two of them, Devon and Master Daki against Maul? With an awesome train fight with Marrok of all people. And I just thought it was great of like they're fighting at single blade at first, and then Marrok activates the helicopter saber, and then Maul ignites the second blade, and then boom, they start going toe to toe. It's great. Maul and Devon are able to overpower Marrok. Devon cuts the train, separating it. Marrok ends up separated between the two. They're able to escape. And again, it's like still just the present. Like they escaped the horror monster for now, but he's still out there. And as more Inquisitors start showing up on Janix and as Marrok continues his pursuit, I'm very excited to see where this goes because the episode ends. Marrok he's back on a Star Destroyer, contacts someone in a hologram. We don't see their faces. Like, my lord. Maul's present. He's still out there. And there's two Jedi. And we don't see who that person is because the episode ends there and it's like, okay, this could be the Grand Inquisitor. It's probably Vader, which means it's happening. We are going to get Vader versus Maul probably this season. It's very exciting. Again, it's one of those things where when I recorded my episode of Forging the Path of characters I'd like to see show up in Maul Shadow Lord, back when I wasn't sure if this was going to get 2 seasons, so I was like, you could try and get this. When I wasn't sure we were going to get a second season, I was like, okay, Vader, it's possible. It would be cool. It's definitely like the Star Wars fanboy lightsaber go burr pick of like, what if Darth Vader and Darth Maul fought each other? Oh my God, that would be awesome. Like it would be one of those picks. But at that time I was like, okay, I don't know if it's going to get a second season. Do I really want to spend 2 episodes on this Vader fight when we could be more focused on this Maul and this Devon stuff and how Maul takes the fight to the Empire, the dark side being fought to fight the dark side or being used to fight the dark side. I'm like, okay, I'm more intrigued about that. However, now that we know it's going multiple seasons, now I want this. And I think we're going to get it. And yeah, Vader's probably going to dog walk him. But it's going to be cool. Because we saw, like, Maul, at the height of his powers, Clone Wars Season 5, Palpatine comes in there, just completely dog walks him, kills Savage. It's probably going to be very similar with Vader, especially because we saw Old Man Kenobi do that to him with one swoop in Rebels. So it's probably going to be similar. Vader's probably going to just hand Maul's ass to him. But I want to see it. I do. I'm getting very excited at the thought of it. So if it is the Grand Inquisitor, cool, I get to hear Jason Isaacs again. But if it's Vader, yeah. Build that up till the last episode. That's your season 1 finale. Set up season 2 from there. Oh, yeah. I kind of want to see that. So, yeah, no, these episodes were incredible. There's no other way to put it. Every time I think this show can't get better, it does. We are now 3 weeks in, 3 weeks of these double batches of episodes. First 2 episodes, I was like, I'm really intrigued. This is a good start to the show. Episode 3 and 4, I'm like, this show's freaking fantastic. Now I'm like, it's unbelievable. I don't know how they keep getting better. And apparently they do. For everyone that saw the first 8 episodes, apparently they just keep getting better and better each episode. So next week, we are getting Chapter 7, Call to the Oblivion, and Chapter 8, The Creeping Fear. So I don't know what's going to happen in those episodes. But oh boy. One, we're now 2 weeks in a row of close calls with Master Daki. So he can't keep getting away with, like, I don't want him to die. But, like, it's got to happen at some point. And 2, now that we know what's happening with the Empire, God, there's so much more. Like, how are they going to eventually get off Janix? How are they going to escape the Inquisitors? Is Vader going to show up? What's more with Maul? Marrok. We know the bird mask Inquisitor from Tales of the Jedi is going to show up as well. How is he going to fight with these characters? Devon's continued push and pull between light and dark, or does she want to team with Maul? Does she not want to team with Maul? Lawson's wife, what's the deal with that? Rook Cast, is she going to break away from Maul? Like, again, there's a lot of intriguing stuff, and I am very much here for what we're going to be getting for the rest of the season. So thank you guys again for joining me for an unplanned solo edition here of our Maul Shadow Lord recaps on For the Republic. I thank you for tuning in, for continuing to join us, for continuing to journey through Star Wars together for us. It means a lot, even through these strange times where we're struggling to align our schedules together. And we got some stuff going on, but we're going to make it through it again. I'm slowly getting this office more and more figured out. I got some better lighting now, so excited about that. Excited for what more we can bring to this channel and to this podcast feed throughout the rest of the year and going forward. As for myself, you can find me on all socials, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Starlight Andrew. You can find the podcast on Twitter at For the Repub Pod, on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky at For the Republic Pod. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, For the Republic Podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. And if you're listening and you're like, hey, I want to talk Shadow Lord with you guys, shoot me a message. We can work something out. Definitely always looking for more guests to come on the show with us. So next week, we will be back with our recaps of episodes 7 and 8, hopefully with the full crew back again. Hopefully Donovan can return to the show, and Connor and I can talk about this awesome show together as a full crew once again. And then, of course, Forging the Path, hoping to be back with a new episode next week. Going to try and get that together at some point during the week, if not the following week. And then Clone Wars season, our Clone Wars rewatch is continuing as well. We're going to hopefully resume with our season 2 coverage. It might be after Shadow Lord at this point, but definitely sometime very soon we're going to continue on with the Geonosis arc. So thank you guys for joining us. It's been a very fun episode talking about these awesome episodes. But until next time, take care. May the Force be with you.